For this one, Yeonwoo Park, who specializes in red team operations based out of Korea, will take us on a journey of exploiting a flaw in Microsoft's security design to forcefully obtain CPNs from disabled accounts. The floor is yours, Yeonwoo.
Hello everyone. Thank you for attending my presentation. Now I will present a new attack vector in Active Directory Kerberos that I discovered this June. Let me introduce myself. My name is Yeonwoo Park, and I am working at RaonSecure's core research team, and I personally a member of team the SaturnX. I hold a CRTO certification, and I have a strong interest in Active Directory. Then here is my Discord ID. After this presentation, I will be accepting questions via Discord. If you have an interest in Active Directory or Kerberos, I would appreciate it if you could reach out to me here. Next is my pentest wiki, where I analyze techniques related to penetration testing and red teaming and organize them according to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. The presentation is organized in the following order. First, what is Kerberos? Second, Kerberos authentication flow. In this section, I will analyze Wireshark along with an explanation of how Kerberos works. Third, the hidden secrets of Kerberos. In this section, I will discuss the relatively uncommon secrets of Kerberos. And fourth, a new attack vector. I've named it disabled SPN Kerberoasting. And finally, how to defend. Kerberos is a protocol used for authenticating users over a network. In traditional Windows system, users authenticate themselves with NTLM challenge authentication, which they encrypt through their password hash. On the other hand, Kerberos use secure authentication based on secret key, which tickets are issued and valid. This Kerberos protocol is used as a standard on both Active Directory and macOS platforms. Here is an explanation of the Kerberos authentication flow. A client requesting authentication encrypts the client time using its anti-hash and send it to the server. In a domain environment, the server is the domain controller. The server then decrypts the timestamp using the client's anti-hash and compares it with its own time. If the time different for within the acceptable range set by the server, it sends back a granting ticket as known as TGT along with a TGT session key encrypted with user's anti-hash. The TGT is encrypted using the KRB TGT account's anti-hash, which prevents the client from viewing or tampering with its contents. This process is also referred to as the pre-authentication stage. Let's examine the actual packet of the pre-authentication stage using Wireshark. In the ASREQ requesting a TGT, the client provides its own name as the CNAME and desired service name as the SNAME. Although not visible in the packet, the encrypted section contains the client time encrypted with the client's anti-hash. After verifying the client's identity and timestamp from the ASREQ, the server responds with a TGT session key and specifies service information. In this screenshot, the server is issuing a service ticket for the KRB TGT service to the client. After the pre-authentication stage, the client sends the TGT it received from the server along with the client time encrypted using the TGT session key. Since the client cannot decrypt the TGT, it simply forwards the TGT as is and also includes in plain text which service ticket it wants to access. The server decrypts the timestamp using the TGT session key it previously issued to the client. If the timestamp is valid and the server provides the service ticket encrypted with the service account anti-hash, along with the service ticket session key encrypted using the TGT session key. The first packet in the TGS REQ contains the TGT previously obtained from the server. Here the SNAME field specifies the KRB TGT, indicating that the client's identity has been verified. The second packet specifies the final service the client wants to access. In current screenshot, it is confirmed that the client attempting to access the SMB service of the domain controller. The first packet in the TGS REP contains the service ticket session key encrypted with the TGT session key. The second packet is a service ticket that is specified to be accessible to the client. This ticket includes the service ticket session key and specifies both the client and the service the client wishes to access. And finally, the client prevents the ticket to the service server in order to access the service. Since this process is unrelated to the vulnerability I discovered, I won't cover it through packet. Let me briefly summarize this process so far. First, the client obtains a TGT to authenticate itself. Once the client's identity is verified and the TGT is issued, it can request tickets for any desired domain service. One important thing is that domain services are accessible to everyone regardless of permissions. Since the domain access control list doesn't apply at this stage, as long as the valid TGT is available, the client can attempting to access any services. Now let me reveal one of the hidden secrets of the Kerberos protocol. This is a known quirk among those who frequently experiment with the Kerberos authentication process, but I believe there haven't been many attacks that take advantage of it yet. In the KDC REQ body of the Kerberos protocol, both CNAME and SNAME use the same structure called principal name, and this field is entirely optional. In other words, both CNAME and SNAME are non-mandatory fields that can be omitted. As proof, I attempt to request a service ticket by specifying the SNAME in the same format as CNAME, which is typically used for the username. Instead of using a standard SPN format, I entered KRB TGT, and in the packet, both the SNAME in the TGT and the service request field show KRB TGT. Many people consider the TGT to be a special kind of ticket in a Kerberos authentication flow. But in reality, it's just a service ticket for the KRB TGT account. This service ticket simply enables authentication before accessing other services. Just like a service ticket for MS SQL allows access to SQL server, the KRB TGT service ticket enables user authentication. However, in order to issue a service ticket using a domain account name instead of an SPN in the SNAME field, the target account must have at least one SPN registered. If you are watching carefully, then you might wonder if the KRB TGT should also have a service. Indeed, upon inspection, you will find that KRB TGT owns a service name change password. This is the reason why we are able to receive the TGT from domain controller, because it's actually a service ticket for the KRB TGT account. To verify whether KRB TGT is indeed an account that owns a service ticket, I used the Impactkit project get_user_SPN Python file to enumerate the domain service list. However, as shown in this screenshot, the services of KRB TGT do not appear when using get_user_SPN Python file. So where exactly is the service for KRB TGT that we are looking for? The answer is that, to my knowledge, most commercial tools do not collect any services associated with disabled accounts. Therefore, to view the ticket list of a disabled account, we need to modify certain parts of the code. The code in get_user_SPN Python is written to skip in tries if the user account control value in the server's response indicates the user account is disabled. This part should be modified to include disabled account in the output. After all necessary code modifications and relearning the same command, you can see that the KRBTGT account has a service name change password. Now that the secret has been revealed that the TGT is actually a service ticket for the KRBTGT account, we've uncovered a new secret. The ASREQ is essentially a request for a service ticket. If you find it hard to believe, you can test it yourself. In the first request, I clearly obtained a service ticket for KRBTGT via TGSREQ. But you can use this ticket to get another service ticket. This process is same as issuing another service ticket after you have been issued a TGT through ASREQ. Since these tickets issued through ASREQ and TGSREQ are identical, this process can be repeated indefinitely. And the fact that ASREQ and TGSREQ produce the same result means they follow the same logic. Now let's move on to a new attack vector. First, I configured the domain account name Mickey to an SPN called DefCamp. Then I confirmed that this result, I confirmed that this result appears in get_user_SPN Python file. Just like a service ticket can be issued for KRBTGT because it's on a service, I believe a ticket can also be obtained for the Mickey account even if it's disabled. However, contrary to expectations, while a service ticket is issued for KRBTGT, no ticket is issued for Mickey. According to the error message, it appears that the service could not be found. getST says it cannot find the service, but I'll check why access to the Mickey account is actually being denied by analyzing it through Wireshark. According to the exact reason identified through Wireshark, the access error occurs because the account is disabled. Why is that? Why is that the KRBTGT account can still access even though it's disabled, but while the Mickey account cannot? This reason became clear after reverse engineering the KDC SBC.dll file. At this point, you guys might not remember the hexadecimal value of the anti-status code. Within this DLL file, string 2 is an object representing a structure that contains information about the ticket. Inside this object, details including the client, the service, and client-specific user account control information are included. This code is why we can access KRBTGT account even if it's disabled. The code states the branching occurs only when 3 conditions are met, but we don't actually need to understand all those conditions. When branching occurs, pay attention. Pay attention to the value passed as the first argument to the field extended error function. And it's also important that the conditional statement includes logic to check if the object value does not match 502. Here, 502 is the RID, the last security identifier in the Windows SID. As you know, RID for key domain accounts are consistently set across all environments worldwide, and 502 is the RID for the KRBTGT. In other words, the code branches to the field extended error function if the account is not KRBTGT. And when the function is called -1073, 741710 is passed as the first argument. Do you remember I previously mentioned the importance of remembering the hexadecimal value? When it does not match the KRB-TGT account, the value is passed as the first argument to the field extended error function. This value is in hexadecimal, and this matches the anti-status error code. That was returned when attempting to access not only Mickey account but also all of disabled account. However, this exception handling code was flawed. Microsoft is outputting a different error depending on what value you put in the first argument in field extended error function. This means that if there is no logic to invoke a particular code exception, the exception handling is missing. Do you remember I said earlier that TGT is a service ticket for a normal service account without anything special? Since TGT is a regular service ticket, ASREQ also explained that it is a step of issuing a service ticket. As a result, when issuing a service ticket through TGSREQ, exceptions were made for access to inactive accounts, while the exception handling code was missing when issuing a service ticket through ASREQ. As a result, via proof of code, I was able to bypass access restrictions on a disabled service account and obtain a service ticket. Let's take a look at a demo video that demonstrates the POC in action. First, I create an account to demonstrate that neither the service account nor the requesting account holds any special privileges. This account named DefCamp 2025 was created specially to request a service ticket. Next, I create an account named Mickey, which would on a service. This account is also a regular domain user account with no special privileges. Then using PowerShell, I create a test service under the Mickey account. After assigning the service, I disable the Mickey account. The process of locating the service ticket in the POC performs the same function as the modification I previously made to get user SPN Python. It filters the services within the domain and outputs only those that are owned by disabled accounts. Then when a service ticket is requested for the Mickey account, the conditional branching is bypassed and the ticket is issued. It is then output in a format that can be immediately cracked using hashcat. When I first discovered this vulnerability, I asked myself, so what can I actually do with this? I explored the possibility of using credentials from disabled account to reactivate it via remote protocol like LDAP, but it seemed impossible. Instead, I studied the scenarios where the account could be reactivated through another user who had user account control privileges. But I'd like to talk about the simplest method, password spraying attack. From my experience, members belonging to the domain admins group, such as service administrator or solution antivirus accounts, often end up being in the domain admins group. Service or solution accounts can become unused over time, and they are frequently simply disabled. For example, a deployment account for company A's solution might have been granted domain admin rights. And when switching to company B's solution, there were cases where people thought it was safe to merely disable the old A account without cleaning up the services. In this case, you can create a password list based on the pattern of the cracked password in order to crack another hash or proceed with a spray attack. The password pattern used in certain accounts are very likely to be used elsewhere, and they may even be used exactly the same. For example, if you've cracked a ticket from a disabled account and obtain a password contoso 2023, you can simply modify the suffix, increment the number to 2024 or 2025, or add special characters. According to the default Windows password policy, failed attempts reset every 30 minutes, making these kinds of attack quite feasible. Defending against attacks based on unmanaged accounts, as you've seen, is quite simple. Before deactivating unused accounts, check whether any services are registered to them in the domain. Use PowerShell commands to enumerate inactive accounts in a domain that have SPNs, and if any results are returned, reactivate the corresponding account and then remove the SPN. That's the end of my presentation. Since English isn't my native language, it is difficult for me to answer the question on the spot. I think I need to answer via Discord or individually after I step down the stage. Thank you for listening to my presentation.